Rock Wolf's Sunday Night Hall of Fame. Oldies 99.9.
She's my girl. She's my girl. She's my girl.
Welcome back to the Bobby Fuller Story in Words and Music on the Sunday Night Hall of Fame show. This is your host, Rod Wolf. There's She's My Girl from 1965, the first single on Mustang Records to list the group as the Bobby Fuller Four. After little action, everyone agreed that the fourth single for the group would be a rework of one of their biggest El Paso area hits, and always a club favorite too. Originally called Keep On Dancin', Keane suggested not only a different approach to the song, but a different title too. Aimed more toward dance clubs, Keep On Dancin' became Let Her Dance, and also finally became the breakthrough single the group had been working so hard for. By the spring of 1965, Let Her Dance was the #1 record in Los Angeles, as well as other areas of the Southwest, where the group had always been popular.
Well, there she goes with a brand new love affair, dancing with him like she don't even care. So let her dance all night long. Well, who would have known that just yesterday, hey, she danced with me the very same way. Well, let her dance with him, let her dance all night long.
Hi, welcome again to America's swinging half hour of musical get-togethers, chivalry. I'm Gene Weed, your host. I sincerely hope you're ready for all our action tonight, because we're going to do some swinging. Curtain going up right now with the Bobby Fuller Four and Let Her Dance.
Well, there she goes with a brand new love affair, dancing with him like she don't even care. Well, let her dance with him, let her dance all night long. Well, who would have known that just yesterday, hey, she danced with me the very same way. Well, let her dance with him, let her dance all night long.
Rock Wolf's Sunday Night Hall of Fame.
Although a monster regional hit, Let Her Dance never made the nation's top 100 as compiled by Billboard and Cashbox magazines. For record collectors, it's also a confusing record because it was released 3 times within just a month or so. The story behind all the releases is an interesting one. first appearing on Mustang record number 3006, a contract dispute erupted with Liberty Records. It seems that Bob Keane's business partner made a deal behind his back for Liberty to release the record too. Liberty received a copy of the tape from the partner at Delphi and, assuming they had legal rights, released the song. To counter the promotional copy sent out by Liberty, Bob Keane pressed the record again, this time as Mustang number 3012. As big a hit as Let Her Dance was in a major market like Los Angeles, here on the East Coast, this great record received little or no radio airplay, and thus the Bobby Fuller 4 was to remain anonymous. But all that was about to change in dramatic fashion. While Let Her Dance was burning up the charts in California and the Southwest regions, the group was still packing them in the Balboa Rendezvous Club. By now, fans were lining up early for each night's appearance to assure they could just get in the door. Celebrities were also stopping by on a regular basis too, as the Bobby Fuller 4's live act was becoming well known throughout the area. At one point, the legendary record label owner, songwriter, and producer Phil Spector had heard so much about the group that he had stopped by to hear them play, and one night wound up on stage playing a piano with them. It was later reported that Phil was interested in signing Bobby Fuller to a solo contract, but that Bob Keane and Delphi made it quite clear that Bobby was under exclusive contract to their label. After the group's biggest hit to date started to slip off the charts, it was time for the next single release. The A side of the record was once again written by Bobby Fuller, and no one would realize at the time how prolific the title really was. The song was called Never to Be Forgotten and was an indication of how advanced his songwriting talents had become. While the release of Never to Be Forgotten was quickly forgotten, the next release would be the one that never will be. It was agreed by all that single release number 6 would be a remake of one of the biggest El Paso regional hits for Bobby Fuller. And that recording was itself a remake of one of the songs that Bobby had fallen in love with a couple of years earlier while listening to the album In Style with the Crickets. The song was also one of the most requested during the group's live shows at the Rendezvous Club in Newport Beach. The record was released in late 1965 and immediately raced up the charts in Southern California. Only this time, it continued racing up the charts until it reached the top 10 across the entire United States and around the world.
Breaking rocks in the hot sun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won. I needed money 'cause I had none. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Bobby Fuller was finally vindicated. as he and his group enjoyed their first nationwide hit record with a song that had originally been recorded by the Crickets. As a follow-up, Bobby Fuller argued with Bob Keane that this time he wanted to remake another song from his old Crickets album. This song was not written by Sonny Curtis, but by Buddy Holly and Bob Montgomery, who was Buddy's first musical partner in Lubbock, Texas. The original recorded version of the song by Holly and the Crickets was from 1958.
Don't make a fool of you. You do anything it wants you to. Love can make you feel so good when it goes like you think it should, or it can make you cry at night when your baby don't treat you right, when you're feeling sad and blue. You know love's made a fool of you.
Although not as big a hit as I Fought the Law, Bobby Fuller's version of Love's Made a Fool of You still managed to make the top 30 national charts.
You know love makes a fool of you. You do anything that it wants you to. Love can make you feel so good when it goes like you think it should. Heart can make you cry at night when your baby don't treat you right. When you're feeling sad and blue, you know love's made a fool of you. You know love's made a fool of you. You know love makes a fool of men, but you don't care, you're gonna try again. Time goes by, it's passing fast. You think your lover has come at last. By and by, you're gonna find crazy loving hasn't made you blind. When you're feeling sad and blue, you know love's made a fool of you. You know love's made a fool of you. Love can make you feel so good when it goes like you think it should. Art can make you cry at night when your baby don't treat you right. When you're feeling sad and blue, you know love's made a fool of you. You know love's made a fool of you. You know love makes a fool of men, but you don't care, you're gonna cry again. Time goes by, it's passing fast. You think your lover has come at last. By and by, you're gonna find crazy loving hasn't made you blind. When you're feeling sad and blue, you know love's made a fool of you. You know love's made a fool of you. Love can make you feel so good when it goes like you think it should. Heart can make you cry at night when your baby don't treat you right. When you're feeling sad and blue, you know love's made a fool of you. You know love's made a fool of you.
Rod Wolf Sunday Night Hall of Fame.
Both releases, Love's Made a Fool of You and I Fought the Law, made the Bobby Fuller Four a recognizable commodity. And that meant the chance to tour nationwide. So the group that these many years later is still remembered as a fantastic live act was booked by Bob Keane on what Randy Fuller once called one of the strangest tours in rock and roll history.
Wanna tell you about my baby? You know she's so good, Lord. 5'4". She's got blue eyes and long blonde hair. She made me feel so good. Oh, she made me feel alright. And her name is Dee.
Kicking off April 9th of 1966 in Grand Rapids, Michigan, at a high school gym. The tour included such less than memorable venues as an outside concert at a railroad stockyard during a rainstorm, and traveling sometimes as much as 1,800 miles in 4 days, with all the musicians and instruments crammed in a van. By May of 1966, the Bobby Fuller Four had toured its way to New York City, where I Fought the Law had charted number 1.
Heartbreaking rocks in the hot sun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
The Bobby Fuller Four were booked into nightclubs frequented by the likes of people like Andy Warhol. The tour was a disaster, with members of the group at each other's throats and all threatening to quit. While in New York, Bob Keane arranged for he and Fuller to meet songwriter Ted Darrell, who was enjoying some success in the business. The Shangri-Las had just recorded one of Ted's songs, and Bob Keane wanted the Bobby Fuller Four to record a song called The Magic Touch. Fuller and the rest of the group hated the song and argued with Keane about it. Their main concern was that it did not sound like anything they had ever sang before, and the group would never be able to properly perform it live. Irregardless, on May 16th, Keane brought the group temporarily off the road and back to his studio in Los Angeles to record the song. The sessions were filled with tension and arguments, and to make matters even worse, Keane let a brand new engineer record the song, produce the record, and even add additional instruments after the group had left town. The name of the man who performed as both engineer and producer was Barry White, who, of course, would go on to become one of the biggest disco stars of the 1970s. The Magic Touch from June of 1966. a totally new sound and direction for the group. However, it was a roadmap they were not willing to follow. You're listening to the Bobby Fuller Story on the Hall of Fame show. This is your host, Rod Wolf. We'll take a brief pause and then return with the tragic ending to our story, exclusively on Oldies 99.9.
The station you sing along to, Oldies 99.